Good morning, everyone. Microphone check. Screen check. Looks like everything is working correctly here. Good. Yay, I love it when that happens. Especially after doing some Windows updates. You never know. It's always a shot in the dark. Welcome. Hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend. As always, before we jump on the left side of the screen there, make sure to read through the Live Trader Morning Prep PDF. Very important to go through and understand everything that is inside there. Just a quick note for you all before we jump on in today. Please keep in mind that the YouTube broadcast side of things does have between a 5 to 30 second delay, depending on where you're logging in from, which can definitely impact the timeliness of what I may be talking about at the time. Also, just wanted to take a second to give a shout out to our latest members that joined overnight and over the weekend. Thank you so much for the support. I'm pumped to have you on the SSFTG fam. If you aren't a member yet, you do have a few different options to check out if you're looking to further your trading education and career. Here on YouTube, you can check out the join button below the stream. The YouTube family gains access to the extended hours trading room, which happens usually from 10 until like 10:30, 11 o'clock, depending on when things start quieting down. Every member also gains access permanently to our Discord chat server, and of course you get the awesome badge next to your name here on YouTube to show your support. It just looks really cool. To understand our trading approach, you can take a look at the Day Trading Academy. This is no PDF lightweight thing that you're going to finish in an afternoon. This is 19 plus hours of course and study material, including homework and review and all kinds of stuff. So you best tuck in and get ready for that one. And then if you're looking to really step up to the plate, you've got the VIP, the full VIP. VIPs have exclusive permanent access to our non-delayed stream, covering the entire morning session from 9 until we end, to ensure that you're not only on the fastest connection possible, but that you don't miss any beats along the way. Alongside that, VIPs also have access to our monthly VIP webinars. We actually had one just this past weekend going over scalping. Really cool one. Private VIP events, one-on-one scheduling access, all kinds of cool stuff. So whether you're here for the very first time or you're a seasoned veteran over on the Zoom stream, welcome. I'm glad to have you trading alongside me today, analyzing these crazy markets, seeing what's going on today. And while we're doing that, let's take a look at some news, take a look at some charts, see what's all happening, and give us a better idea as to what to expect. Don't forget to grab your morning DP levels, those are posted for you there. I'm still running some updates on the morning brief side of things. You can see I have the economic calendar, but it doesn't like loading. So there's a few things that I got to figure out why it's not working here. It's still a work in progress, but the DP levels are there for you and ready to rock and roll. Outside of that, it looks a bit messy, but well, we'll see. Get that out of the way. Let's take a look at the news for today, which there is none. We don't have really any news. FOMC member Brainard was speaking today at 9 o'clock. At 11:30, we've got the 3- and 6-month bill auctions. And then at 12 o'clock, FOMC member Bostic speaking. There's nothing really going on today. Pretty calm and quiet. So we'll leave that one as is. Let's take a look at the charts for today and see what's going on. Starting off on the NASDAQ and looking at the overall movement that we've got here. I mean, this is pretty textbook. This is what we were waiting for all day on Friday. It just didn't happen until Sunday and, into Monday. We've got that really strong rally to the upside. We still haven't had a deeper pullback. But, I mean, realistically, we're still looking for that deeper pullback. They finally got it, just so happened to do it over the weekend, and then roll back up to a new high. Or at least that's what the attempt is. If we're looking across the board here, we've got an L5 rotation off of the lows, and buyers are looking to keep that going. Typically, L5s are going to want to rotate off L2s, which is what they did on Sunday. A little bit irritating there, but since then, giant rotation all the way back to the upside, all the way through L1, and almost back up to the highs. Pretty obvious that bulls are pretty content buying into that Sunday dip. Unfortunately, that didn't happen on Friday, and they'll be looking for more continuation to the upside from there. Looking pretty good so far. As far as zones of probable interest, looking at launching pads, if you will. The -2, very big zone of interest, not only because it's a -2, but because it also lines up with the start of the major move. We've got some previous swing lows support all the way through there. So if the market is going to go crazy dive to the downside, that would be the huge launching point for buyers to try to kick the market back up. As far as resistance goes, actually one more step of support. We've got that previous double top, which is right on top of settlement. So a little inside pullback would be nice. Resistance lines up pretty well at the +1. We've got some pretty decent resistance setting up there. And honestly, even at the +2, we're not quite there yet. It would be nice to see it get a bit further up towards those all-time highs and maybe dig into like a 2.5. See what they're able to do. Over on the S&P, mostly sideways. We haven't seen as much volatility, but kind of the same concept here. Buyers were waiting for that new high. They did get the new high, I guess. What a mess. I mean, they tagged it. They got the new high, the pullback. The buyers did end up defending it. What a crazy, vindictive thing that was. On Sunday, once again, rallied back to the upside. We're not at new highs. It's going to be tough to get back up to those highs. That's a mess, the way that formed. More likely, we find resistance on the +1/2, which is right where the market is, on those inside swings. It's not to say that the market can't break through it. It certainly can. We're talking the S&P here. The S&P can definitely break above these areas and keep going. But it's got some work to do if we're going to stay stuck here at the 4180s. If we can get a little bit of a pullback, the -1/2 lines up pretty nicely, primarily because dynamically that would be a 1 to the downside, and that would allow buyers a deeper low zone of interest. Buying the dip, potential trap underneath the lows, maybe even a little wedge. Now that we do have the new high, they have an L5 rotation. Buyers are going to want the L2. We haven't had it yet. Could use one more leg back. Might not happen, but it could use one. On gold, I mean, man, gold is a train wreck. This thing just doesn't know what it wants to do. It's gradually creeping its way higher. That's for sure. But outside of that, what a mess. This thing just, boy. We've got a bit of a wedge. The market's kind of stuck. That's about all we can really bank on at the moment. Maybe a little bit further back. Something along these lines. I mean, either way, this thing is just nasty looking. We need a bit more info for this thing to kind of come through. Obviously, the thing that stands out the most at the moment would be a deeper pullback. We haven't had one for quite a while, and the last time we had a reset was way down here. That reset did come off of the L3, so with the continuation higher, that is a confirmed reversal. We've got a deep dip. They almost got another L3 there, and we haven't been able to break above that high close in the 90s. So, if it is going to pull back, I guess the L3s are down there. This is just super sideways. That out of the way. Over on crude oil, very strong bounce back to the upside. A massive amount of wedge and divergence movement off of the lows, and that has, well, it's been not shy at all about continuing back to the upside, just screeching higher. And now we finally have this big breakout above the highs. Looks like a bit of a spike and channel formation type play, maybe a megaphone. Kind of gross looking, but overall, I mean, it's there. What might be useful here is to see the market go maybe a bit more sideways. It could creep up a little bit further. It's obviously got a bullish intent, but see it go a bit more sideways for that deeper pullback. That's where buyers are going to want to really pull into this one if they can get that little bit of a dip back down there. We have not had any reversal attempt off of the lows, meaning that there hasn't even been an L3. There's barely been an L1. This thing just went screaming to the upside. So, I mean, a deeper pullback down to L3, L4, L5, that would be phenomenal for that confirmed reversal. Not quite there yet. Over on the euro, mostly sideways, but it is fairly obvious that there is a lot of support coming in off of this settlement price. The market dipped right back down, tapped it, bounced right back off of it again. Extreme support coming in down there. And realistically, there's a lot of sideways support there anyway. We've got a lot of the previous swing lows, swing highs, swing lows. Maybe a little bit of a wedge, I guess, coming in here, but for the most part, cycling off the lows, and buyers are trying to get it to go back up. Bitcoin tapping the highs, didn't quite make it above the new high and is now starting to pull back. That's really about it. I mean, it's a strong reversal off of the lows. They never made a new low. Trying to get them pop back up. Ethereum, fairly straightforward what they did. They got that trap underneath the lows, and then since then it's just gone screaming to the upside. Incredible bounce on Ethereum. Why don't you stream in 1080p? I must have messed with a setting or something. I have some stream health pop-ups that are coming up saying that I've got a wrong bitrate thing going through. It must have happened after I did the update. It used to, but after the update, it changed some settings. I don't know. I got to go back through. Today's the first time I've actually seen that warning pop up, so. Normally, it should stream in at least 720, but preferably 1080. I've been getting some bitrate warnings. So I'll update that after I close down today. Good old update. I mean, yeah, like I said, as soon as I opened the room, we did a bunch of updates, and, well, the hope is that everything works correctly after updates. Looking at the NASDAQ now, zooming in a little bit more to the daily, and as far as the NASDAQ is concerned, the overall movement from the lows to that vindictive high that they had up there. We've got it right there. There we go. All right, so while the market's pulling back, notably, we had a huge amount of interest off of the L1. Once they failed, they exited a break even. Pretty straightforward stuff. Rolled back down to the lows. Buyers are going to try to pick up off the L3. They showed up, closed the doji, and then immediately failed underneath it. We're starting to see those buyers kind of regain a little bit of their confidence, but the concern is that we haven't bounced off of the next structural zone. And this is also where a lot of the earlier traders were potentially getting stuck in on the short side. If we look at this from a volume accumulation standpoint, from the lows to the highs, and then the highest low that we had inside there. Might take it a second here. But that'll give us an idea of where the market will want to pull back to as a cluster zone to see if it kind of finished off an objective. Man, these daily POCs take so long to calculate. Thank you. Jeez. All right. And that puts the primary objective at 12,780. That's the major zone of interest. 780, 71. See if they can get down there. I mean, it's fairly obvious as to what's standing out right now. The sellers have tried. They got obliterated. They tried again. They got obliterated again. Sellers tried again on this most recent bear bar, and so far, it's not working very well, and now it's creeping back to the upside. If this goes bull engulfing, I mean, it's just so game over for the sellers. It's not even a joke anymore. That's when they start getting ran over. A lot of buyers who potentially got trapped back over here will be looking for break-evens, so that's going to be a major objective for today. See if you can kind of creep back up there and allow them out. If you look at that point, that's at 13.6. That's not right. 1150. 1150. There we go. And this, I will make... I want orange for that. There we go. And that is the daily break even for, what day is that? 5/6. We'll see if they can creep back up there. That's about all that's going on from the daily perspective, though. Looking at it on the 60-minute chart, we do have that higher low, and this is a beautiful transitional phase. That's what they needed to see. We've got an L5 off the lows, trying to get a continuation back to the highs. That L5 usually rotates off an L2. They got the L2 on the weekend, rotated back up. They haven't made a new high yet. We'll see what they're able to continue, but realistically now we've got signs, higher low, higher high. That's what they need for trend reversals, not to mention the L5 off the lows. There's a lot of things that are saying the buyers are trying here. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but they're trying. Maybe a wedge top. Or a megaphone, whatever this thing is. Lovely. Looking at the overall volume movement that we had so far, sellers would be originally anticipated to be in this rally to the upside, trying to push it back down again, but they failed to make a new low. So I kind of want to see, where do they get stuck from? And if we look at the overall volume, we have this very nice volume node, and you can see they defended their break-evens initially, but when it broke back above, it was pretty much gone. They haven't come back to that point. Would be really nice to see the market come back to that point. And then from the top to the bottom. Oh, no. Their POC's way up at the top, huh? Man, that adds a lot of emphasis for a little bit of a pullback to those 1337s. All right, well, we'll have to wait and see. On the 15-minute perspective, you can see that's that big break-even point from the daily. We got a ways to go until we hit that. Get a little bit more continuation to the upside to go. From this perspective, we don't really have an L5 rotation, although I suppose in the nearest of terms, there was an L3 down there. That's sketch, but, I mean, it's there. So, I guess given nothing else, I have to go with that one. Rotated it into an L2, continuation to the upside. There's the L2 on Sunday, rotating back to the highs. We already know what's up. Buyers are trying to keep this going higher. As far as the most recent pullback from the highs to the lows over Sunday, and I'll go the higher low just to make sure I don't get any bugged volume. That POC is right there at 44.5. All right, bulls are trying to step this thing back to the upside. From the Asian to Euro session movement, we've got bullishness. We've got them stacked, and they're stacked higher. Good continuation, and even on the lower sessions, still showing support. That's a very strong indication. Now we're breaking above Euro. We really haven't had that good of a pullback to it. Would be nice to see a better bounce there. Notably, one thing that is standing out on the near term, we do have an undertow, which is suggesting that a deeper pullback is around the corner. So stay careful, stay cautious. That deeper pullback, it's giving you the warning signs. You've got the L4. It rotated back up off the L4 with an L1. Continued back up, missed the L1. Now they haven't even, we haven't even pulled back to an L1. Realistically, now if it is going to pull back with an undertow, it makes a lot more sense to look for an L2. Get the L2. Along with that, get the channel going to the upside here. Man, they don't make this channel very nice looking, do they? I guess for lack of anything else, it'd be that one. But you can see why I really like this zone. We're stacking a lot of stuff. Likely, if we go from, well, this might mess things up, but if we go from bottom to top, there's likely a POC on this first cluster. It's still there. They still have the POC back at 475. That goes to show that it's very likely sellers got stuck, especially if they built a POC in a small little zone like that. That adds a lot of emphasis on the pullback for them to get out. A couple different ways to approach it. The initial stop mentality would be underneath this low. Obviously, that's a very, very shallow stop. And this is in the mindset of a bigger play. So, makes a little bit more sense to see something along the lines of, wow, 2-to-1's not even close, huh? 3-to-1? 3 point, I don't think I'm going to get away with 3.5. 3.3? Maybe I will. 3.5. Nice. So 3.5 to 1 risk reward is what still fits in up to the highs. That would be the first approach. We are coming into the open, so the only other way to modify this would be for high probability, and high probability would be like way the heck down here. And obviously then you're not going for the 3.5 to 1. few different ways to approach it. Oh, man. And here we sit doing, well, not a whole lot of anything here. Going across the board, there's not much happening. Bitcoin pulling back off the highs a little bit. Gold still mostly sideways. Got a long way to go on the majority of the markets before we get into a zone of interest. Got the open around the corner here in 7.5 minutes or so. NASDAQ looking for the deeper pullback to channel lows. L2, retest of the positive half DP, and a retest of the moving average cluster lows and Euro session highs. And an L2. And a previous POC. What else was there? Just a few things. We are going into the open, and it is the NASDAQ. You know how this market operates. You either take this with low risk, high reward, that 3.5 to 1, where the probability is just going to suck. There's nothing you can do about it. Or you take it on the other side of things where you increase the risk with a much wider stop, potentially even building into the trade, knowing that it's the open on the NASDAQ, and boy, does it love grabbing stops at the open. The MNQ POC just moved to the top. Did it? Let's see. From bottom to top on the full, hasn't yet. Oh, man. It has come close, though. There is a lot of volume building up here. Interesting that the MNQ is shifted already, though. Maybe a precursor. It'd be funny if the micro leads the mini. Would make sense, though. More participants with less money. I don't know. Weird transition. I wish they would just do, like... You know what they should do? Instead of micros and minis and all this other crap. Like... not have CFDs illegal, and then you can just pick what kind of leverage you want to use. No. That's a problem. I believe that goes under the hashtag just saying category. Then they wouldn't have to worry about introducing 1.5 million different markets to try to make everybody happy. They just need one. Whoa. Long ES at 41.7550. Nice little dip for a pop. I could see that. I like it. The S&P, just as a side note to add to your bullishness, the S&P hasn't even pulled back to test the Asian highs. Like, it's just left it in the dust. I mean, the S&P has been the entire year the strongest one, but generally, or typically speaking at least. POC still hasn't shifted on the mini. It was a smart... Oh, I love it. I like talking positives. Come on now. It's Monday. Gotta bring them good vibes to a Monday. Gotta get that little dip here on the NASDAQ. Get back to those 67s, 68s. 928 is going to be the next big zone of interest as far as timing is concerned. And then we've got the 5-minute entry point. Is this fit as a spike and channel, or is this more of a spike and wedge? Kind of more of a spike and wedge, huh? Held it for 20 minutes. It's offered 1 point at most. Yeah. That's kind of the S&P, though, before the open anyway. Wait 7.5 centuries, but at least after the open, those first like 15, 20, 30 minutes or so, pretty good. You might get like 3 or 4 points. 67.75 is the zone of interest, although the Euro session highs does kind of cluster up a little bit better around the 80s. Might be a zone for scalpers to pick up. About 30 seconds until 9:28. This is when things get a little bit wild. Man, they are messed up around this low here. 9:28 really didn't do a whole lot. I would say if the S&P is going to pull back, a logical point of interest for it to pull back could be like 71.5 to 70. Just inside the Euro session highs. The majority of the bulls aren't going to want to see it pull back much further than that, though. If anything, it'd probably do it at the open with a quick little whip. Get that good old open volatility. 1 minute until the open. Hey, yeah, vacation over. Back to the grindstone. Well, for like 2 hours. Which coincidentally is about how long it took to actually utilize the grindstone to give your whole family bread for the day. I feel like that's fair, right? Like 2 hours a day should put food on the table, and you know, like you should be covered. just like the olden days. Back in cave paintings. 10 seconds until the open. S&P catching a nice little lift. NASDAQ stuck at the wedge lows. Open hits. I mean, obviously, we've got just a bit of a gap up, but it is not an outside gap up. This is still an inside gap up on the S&P inside Friday's price action, primarily because of that wicked twin reversal at the highs. Opening directly on top of the half DP resistance as well. That's going to make it a little bit awkward. Remember, on the bigger picture for the S&P, this is a zone of resistance already. Bulls trying to creep back up on the NASDAQ and get this going back higher. S&P pulling down just a little bit. A zone of interest if the market is going to pull down a little bit further. First off, the one thing that I want to see is from top to bottom, yesterday's volume, they put a node right there. Well, that's obviously where buyers got in, right? They were buying the pullback. Oh, that's fancy. Buying the pullback, looking for continuation. Failed all the way back down again. Now they're opening up just above break even. I doubt if it goes underneath this by much, they're going to hang on for too long. This is where they need to bounce it, basically. NASDAQ's got a little room yet. This is also a retest of the Euro session highs on the S&P. can't see it on the RTH chart, but so far they're holding L1s. Ooh, no, they haven't even gotten an L1. Nice pop back to the highs. That over there just because Bitcoin is moving. All right, more pop into the upside. All right, well, I did not get that L2 pullback, and they have made a new high. We still have an undertow, so a deeper pullback is still logical, but at this point in time, it's still going higher, so I'm not going to keep redrawing over and over. First natural zone of resistance is going to be into the 550s. As far as another pullback is concerned, we might have a halfway decent dip back for scalpers on the 494s. And that would also put the extended objectives for 2-to-1s inside the highs, which is perfect. What? 0.5, there we go. S&P pulling back a little bit. If it is going to pull back to anywhere, 74 quarter makes a little bit more sense. That'd be back down to the lows. First 5-minute volume is almost done. First 5-minute on the S&P is at 77. Wow. And the first 5 on the NASDAQ. Oh, no. 530? Yikes. I would still rather see that 74 quarter area just to try to get a slightly deeper pullback. We'll see what they want to do down there. Market just kind of chopping around sideways a little bit so far. Would like a decent flush here on the NASDAQ. I mean, I would love to see it get back down to the 500s. I'm just not so sure I'm going to get it down there at this point. 930 is beyond now. If we're looking across the board here, gold's still a chopped up mess. Yikes. Crude oil, man, crude oil looks like they might be failing off the highs. That's not so great. Euro trying to get that continuation pop to the upside. Crypto's still looking decent. S&P buyers trying to get more continuation up. What a crazy ripper of a trend again. Just got to see him finish the job or do something. NASDAQ just keeps going. More continuation to the upside. No, it's one of those days again. Keep in mind, those kinds of days are very few and far between. I don't remember the last time I've seen a day that bullish where it just never pulled back. They do happen, and yeah, today could definitely be one of those days. But is it probable? Nah, not really. There was one day last week, yep. To the top of the channel, once again. The next zone, potentially a little bit further in at around the 521 quarters. Never say never, right? Yeah, exactly. S&P went back and tapped 77, went back up again. They're starting to get that bull engulfing on the daily. This is the bull engulfing right here. It's triggering right now. I don't want to be a buyer way up here. I would still like a pullback, but it might not happen. We've got the previous bull bar. They closed at the lows of 77. I have to assume that bulls will be interested, but more likely underneath that low, 76.75. 75, 75, 74, 75. Nice. Fast. Yeah, it's not pulling back. It just keeps on going. Looking at the volume now from the bottom to top. They haven't shifted the POC on the mini. You were saying on the micro it was, right? $13.75. Oh, no, they did. Yeah, never mind. Sorry. Opened my eyes. NASDAQ has it's incredibly small. It'd be a dip back to like this is definitely more on the scalp side of things now. And it'd have to be a quick little flashback to the 57.75s. And if it starts breaking much further up, then it's more likely that the pullback becomes more severe. This hasn't broken too high where it's got the chance to go like catastrophic fail all the way down to the lows of the channel, you know? It's not even an L1. I can't buy that far. It has to be at least an L1. All right. Well, I've got to try to go back a little bit further. It's just too far up to fit the bill for my at least my trading plan. I can't be buying above an L1. That's called chasing. Might be able to get some scalps up there, though, but it's got to be on like a quick little washout or something. The big zone of interest is back at 546 at the least. S&P is just not doing anything. Strong bull bar, but notice the previous two bull bars. It's got a minute left. Typically, when you have a weak bull bar, and then a strong bull bar, what happens next, the response to that candle is very important. It could be continuation, but it could also be the precursory failure all the way for the rest of the day. Especially if they close a bull bar above those two wicks. You don't really want to see them coming back down again after that. Yeah, I'm on the same page. 550s, 560s, somewhere just a little bit lower. I'm obviously on the lower end of that, but... Ooh, big bull bar back up to the inside of the channel. Nice strong bull bar, but it didn't close above the previous ones, which actually in this case is good. That gives me more confidence to be a buyer underneath that candle. Even if it goes bear engulfing. On the NASDAQ inside bear channel or inside bull channel holding, still haven't been able to break above the highs. Maybe we get the second leg back. There's a lot of support here, and you can see what's going on from the scalper's perspective. We just had a vicious trap underneath the lows, and if the bulls carry this further up, this could start going explosively higher. So I don't necessarily want to buy the highs, but at the same time, the way that they're stepping up to the plate is incredibly aggressive. It's all scalps up here. We're not even close to a swing dip. I'm going to look for a shallow two-legged correction to the downside for scalps, but if they hold off of this, like I said, I mean, this might be the launching point for bulls to try to get a really strong trend going again. A bull bar closing above that would be the sign. We closed underneath it. Okay. Right back up again, though. Ooh, man. They're still holding that level as support. If they keep holding like this, the likely objective, it would be the highs. S&P's getting close. Hey, there we go. 78.50. Did it hit? It hit. I didn't get a fill, though. Well, that's crap. Go back down. I didn't get a fill on the S&P. If it goes too far up, like if it goes up to like 81 or something, then obviously I've missed the trade. So far, I have not been filled. S&P, another strong bull bar back above that support level will get buyers involved. I'm going to look for a continuation to the upside on this. The objective for buyers is to maintain the support above this area to try to get this for a move back up towards the highs. But if they start failing underneath that, that's obviously a red flag that the deeper pullback is around the corner. And that deeper pullback, which I'm going to leave ammo for, is down in the 546s to 530s. Ooh, there we go. Finally, NASDAQ. Golly gee, Williker's bad, man. We finally have a pullback, huh? First objective is going to be at 73. That would be the half to one, and anything above that's just icing on the cake. Weak bull bar. Beauty. Jumped right up into the objective. Nice. So that's the scalper's objective. Obviously, I wasn't able to hold on to that one as long as I wanted to because it dipped further. In the S&P, I just didn't get a fill on. Man. This is like the third or fourth day in a row now where the S&P just does not want to let me into the ball game. They're playing ball, but they're doing it without me. 78.50 is a micro double bottom. Honestly, I still really like it there as a micro double bottom. That's a fantastic launch point. Volume's back above this node again. Why take targets there instead of somewhere else? So there's a couple different reasons. First off, like I said, I'm approaching this as a scalper. Like we talked about over the weekend, if you measure where my average was to where I had to risk down to, that was my target. So based on scalper's risk reward, that's my objective. It actually went through it a little bit. But the secondary reason is primarily because it pulled back further than I wanted it to. I wanted to see this go down up with this bull bar and carry that right back up to the highs, and it didn't. I still want to be long, but once it starts making you back up into that area, effectively it's scratching the first two and profiting off the next. Are you serious? Oh no, okay. They didn't actually hit it. I was gonna say another one? Now, they've come a tick away from the entry point and they're backing up already. More often than not, when that happens, it's a red flag. I will heed that yellow light and I will modify down. And in fact, I'm going to modify down. I'm going to really heed that yellow light. I'm going to go to 77 back at the volume cluster. NASDAQ will apparently never pull back. When you're adding in those areas, is there any rhyme or reason, or is it just more of a visual thing? It's dipped far enough and you have an understanding of the market where you're buying. No, that was actually the two-legged correction. No, I would love to say that I'm you know, a savant in picking the bottom like that when it happens. But I'm not. That was simple math. That was just the measured move. So, although I'll take the credit. That's fine. But that's why it was there. S&P, man. It's a good thing I don't have any hair left. I'd rip the rest of it out. Bitcoin pulling back a little bit after tapping the top of the 5-minute channel to the upside. Got 10 o'clock around the corner. There's no news or anything. At 7 minutes or so, we've got top of the hour, which will sometimes still, move things around a bit. It is also when we switch over to the extended session. We still got plenty of time, though. If you have any questions, feel free to get those in. We'll get those covered for you. I have a POC on the MNQ at 13,575, so maybe headed for a pullback. Is there maybe exhaustion up here? I mean, there's definitely exhaustion up here. But, the thing is, there was exhaustion back here, too. It didn't stop it. I mean, we're still in that rally. Basically, this is just that nice deep pullback. They did it on Sunday, and we're back to the highs. This is where everybody's going to be taking profit. That's why I don't want to buy way up here for more than a scalp. It still looks like it's working, and realistically, given what price action's doing, you can see it. It's doing what you expect it to do if it's going to hold these levels of support. It keeps bouncing back up. But is this the spot to buy and hold for the rest of the day? No. Nope, not even close. So could they be pulling back to that 575? They're shifting the POC up, getting a deeper pullback. They definitely might be looking for that deeper. I mean, we've got the undertow going across the whole thing. It's been telling us that a deeper pullback is likely coming. It just hasn't shown up yet. That's all. Probably going to be an L2 at this point, but would you buy the first 5-minute oversold on Bitcoin? Possibly yes, but with small position size. I would think that if the market's going to pull back, this is obviously a really strong bull trend to the upside. So if the market's going to continue, the first time that it does go oversold or gets a halfway decent pullback, buyers will be there. Definitely. But don't be surprised to see a double value pullback on the 5-minute either. A double value pullback right now depends on the exchange. I've got Femex charts open right now. But that would put a double value pullback at around 36K, 35,750, somewhere around there. So it could be a little bit deeper. I would love to see 35 again, but that's a pretty big move for the next few candles, Right back up again. Man, if the bulls don't take that bull bar, I've got to imagine that they're going to have some problems. That's a heck of a bull bar to the upside. Wow. I can't get a fill to save my life on the S&P today. And I have the one NASDAQ. Which was a great trade, don't get me wrong. Nice scalp. Oh no, look at this bear bar. Oh, if the sellers are going to take anything, that's the candle they're going to take. Ooh, that bear bar is nasty. Careful now. Low risk, very low risk, massive potential probability for puts here on the short side. Very low risk. Stops would be above the highs, barely above the highs, teeny tiny risk, but the targets would be all the way back down to like the 480s. Is huge potential downside. The risk is extremely small from like an options perspective. Keep in mind, very low probability. The likelihood of success is like maybe 30 if you're lucky. But the reward's like 7 to 1. So it makes up for it. Really, really nice location here for some puts to the downside. Very unlikely going to work. Those lotto tickets. Love them when they work, though. Have you thought about scalping Bitcoin on something like FEMX as a challenge? I know we've done the $100 account, $1,000 account. We've done all these different challenges. But when it's come to crypto, there's been no leveraged something. Yeah, there's been no scalping ones because realistically, there just hasn't been enough volume to scalp. But over this past year, it's definitely something that's been in the back of my mind, yeah. If I were going to do a challenge like that, just like all of the other challenges that we do, as far as account challenges, I wouldn't start it with much, maybe a few $100s. I don't like putting a lot of money in when we're doing challenges. If I was going to do it, it would probably be on... It'd probably be on either FEMX, because you can get 0 fees and reduced fees with a cheap subscription every month, or it would be on Prime XBT. But Prime XBT is kind of funky because, you know, US, non-US... 10 o'clock right around the corner. Let's get those last questions in. Look at this consolidation. This is nuts. No pullback. And here it sits. Man, this thing just went to sleep real fast. That's crazy how fast that died. All right. FOMC chatter? Gotcha. Ugh. All right, well, I mean, good timing, right? Going into 10 o'clock, it's perfect. So let's do a final call for questions. I'll grab a drink real quick, and then we'll swap over as 10 o'clock rolls into the extended session. So be right back. All right, we're back. Jeez, more continuation to the upside. This thing's nuts. Getting close to that zone of resistance, but that's going to do it for the morning session. If I missed any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll get those covered for you from there. Otherwise, though, I hope you had a great day of trading, and yeah, we'll see you tomorrow morning in the room. For those of you on the VIP side of things, you don't have to do anything. You just hang out there on Zoom, and it'll swap over. You don't have to do anything on that side. For YouTube, you can look in the community section, and you'll find the link from there. So that'll do it. For the rest of you, enjoy, rest up, and we will see you all tomorrow morning, all right? Have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks. Bye. Go back, go over there. All right.